Hey, it's me, Nurse Tiffany, and I'm so excited to be here. Let's go over how I passed my final exam and ultimately passed Advanced Pathophysiology. Let's get into it. All right, so let's get into it. The final exam was 100 multiple choice questions. It was still on the program Exemplified, the same exam program that they use for my midterm exam. It's a closed book exam, and you should be in a closed area where nobody is around you. Just like my midterm exam, I took this exam at a library. But let me go ahead and give you a little recap of what happened to me after that midterm exam. Okay, so I hope y'all watched the last video. I was so excited, and ultimately I ended up with like 158 points. So excited, oh my God, I didn't know what to do with myself. But I knew that those additional points, I only needed like 120 points, but those additional 30-some points was going to give me some wiggle room where I didn't feel like I needed to get such a high score on the final exam. After I had did the calculations, I only needed about 98 points. So not even a 50% to just pass the course. So I was like, okay, Tiffany, you got this. You could do it. You could definitely at least get a 50% on this exam. After I took that final though, guys, going into week 5, a sister was tired. And when I say tired, I mean tired. I had worked myself up so much for that midterm that in week 5, I could barely function. I think I was just mentally and utterly just completely drained. So in my mind, since I knew and had kind of figured out what actually worked for this particular course, I said, you know what, Tiffany? X all that extra stuff you was doing. Extra stuff meaning having this big old binder and printing out every single week summary. Sitting here doing all these notes and all that. You remember I told you about Etsy and how I was doing XYZ? Nah, baby. Can't do it. It was just way too much. It was just too much. What I said I was going to do was just go ahead and print out the actual final exam study guide. And that's exactly what I did. I just printed out the study guide. I simplified it. I knew that's all I needed to focus on. So I said, all I need was about 2 weeks, 2 good solid weeks to study. And I knew that I would be able to pass the course. Now, all the way up into this course, I had solid A's and everything. And I'm going to tell you something. This course definitely humbled me. I didn't care what I got as long as I passed the course. And I felt like as long as I was putting in 100% of effort into it, hey, you know, it is what it is. If I get a B, I get a B. And that's it. So I took a mental break week 5 and part of week 6. But I don't even know if I could really consider it a mental break because I still had things to do. I still had my discussion posts due for those weeks. We still had those dreaded EDAP assignments. Now, I'm going to tell you, you didn't have to turn them in on time, but because I know how far behind you could get with those, I definitely did not want to fall behind. So each week I still did those type of things. I still did the discussion posts. I still did the EDAP, which is enough to keep you busy. But I didn't start focusing on this midterm exam until week 6. So I started that Sunday, which happened to be Father's Day. And kudos and shout out to everybody who's been able to take vacations and go on trips and, you know, things like that throughout this program. It's not me. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. And for me to be able to get through this program, I know I had to and have to completely lock in. So I'll insert a little picture right here, but I took my hubby, my daughter, and my dad. We went out to a lunch, or, you know, quote unquote brunch. We had a good time, a good conversation, and right when I got home, we got right back into it. So I printed out the study guide, and basically what I did was go back over the EDAP assignments and filled in the gaps of information that I did not know or did not understand. And that's it. That is all. That is all that it took. And when I tell you guys, the study guide led me to the right answers, the right, you know, the right information. You could not stray. Now, mind you, I did tell you, when I was in the beginning of the course, they kept making mention on how they wasn't making this study guide available. I also mentioned in my last video that I would be interested in getting my notes, you know, trying to figure out a way how I could share my notes. But the thing about it is, with me, I handwrite everything. And I just don't think I have the time available with how much content that's going on with these courses to carve out a little extra time to type out the notes. I'm working on it, guys, slowly but surely. I hope I have it available before you all make it to this course. But let me tell you, the study guide is chef's kiss. That's your actual guide on how to pass the final exam. So I wanted to kind of go over what the final exam, the topics that it covered. So I'm going to read it actually from, you know, my notes that I took. So please excuse me. Please excuse the grays, the twist that I have. I'm about to take my kids to the park. And I just wanted to do a quick twist out because it's hot out here in Chicago, which is where I'm based. So don't judge me, judge your mama. I'm just on here to try to give y'all as much information as I can to help, not to be cute or doing all that. So let's get into it. So basically, general information about the exam. It's 100 questions, multiple choice. It's comprehensive, okay? So not only is it going to go over what we learned weeks 5 through 8, but it's going to piggyback and go over concepts weeks 1 through 4. So weeks 5 through 8 concepts is gastro, neuro, endocrine, the central nervous system, brain pathologies, and dermatology. Just to give you a piggyback on weeks 1 through 4 concepts, it was COPD, asthma, the hypersensitivities, pulmonary, cardio, hematology, and, you know, some heart disorders and things like that. So it's a lot to go over. I want to say probably about 25% of the exam was weeks 1 through 4, but the majority, the meat and potatoes, was definitely over concepts weeks 5 through 8. And just to kind of show you, like, the slides, what I did, I was just filling in, highlighting, and just taking notes on the actual study guide. That made it so easy for me. I want to say it took me a whole week. Are you done with the door? I want to say it took me a whole week to even get through. And when I say a week, I'm talking about 7 days. 7 whole days to get through the study guide. because I read to understand, not just to say that I'm reading something. I really like to go through to make sure I understand what I'm reading, to have a clear understanding. Because remember, this course is not designed to teach you how to diagnose. This course is really designed for you to understand the overall pathophysiology behind these diseases. And they can't expect in 8 weeks that you're going to definitely memorize all this information. I think this is just a hint of what's to come moving forward when we actually learn how to diagnose. So it was just important for me just to get a general understanding. And it was really good to learn and kind of pack on top of the knowledge that I already have. So don't stress yourself out about trying to memorize it, but do really try to get a deeper understanding of what it already is that you know. You're already a registered nurse, so you know majority of this stuff. This is just to kind of like peek in the back of your brain and say, I work in a surgical unit, so I see a lot of things, but there are some things that really did say, things that make me go, I didn't know that. So when you get those type of topics and informations, delve in. But a lot of this stuff you should already know. But we all know there's a difference with real world versus book world. So you kind of back into that swing of things. So ultimately, 1 week to fill out this information, and then that very next week I was just reviewing. It took me, that second week that I had to study, I probably was able to go through the study guide 3 more times before I felt like I was done dealing with the study guide. I felt like I knew everything that I was going to possibly know, and I wanted to just take the exam. I went to the library on a Saturday because the course ends on a Saturday and not a Sunday. So I went to the library on a Saturday. The library opens at 12 noon. I got there probably at like 11:30. I skimmed through the study guide again while I was in the car, went inside, got me a study room, and took the exam. Oddly enough, I felt like this exam was way easier than the midterm exam, simply because the concepts weren't as heavy. You know, I felt like cardio and pulmonary were very heavy topics in week 1 and week 2, and hypersensitivity was very heavy topics. But these topics like GI and neuro, and it was just easier for me. So I did not struggle at all. I think it didn't even take me an hour to take this exam. When I got finished with this exam, I remember with the last exam, I had like a 65%. With this exam, I had I want to say 75%. I knew that the points were going to convert over differently. I didn't know how differently, but I knew for sure I had enough to pass the course. I was just looking for at least that 50%. Y'all, I packed up my laptop, got in the car. Instead of recording a video like I did last time, because I already kind of knew that I passed, I called my husband. I was so excited because this was leading into our summer 1 week break. So I was just so happy to know that I had passed and not have to worry about moving on to the next course. So that's it, guys. That's how I passed my final exam. I used the study guide. I did exactly what the study guide told me to do. The EDAP assignments were key to helping me pass that exam. I do want to just kind of touch on the EDAP assignments. The EDAP assignments are not hard, but a lot. And I really want you to know how important it is to stay on top of it. There was only 1 week where I couldn't finish one of the EDAP assignments for that particular week. And those points are critical. And it took the professor almost like 2 weeks before she actually went in and loaded that grade up for me. I don't like living on the edge like that. I don't like living on the edge wondering what my assignment score is going to be. So I've been very efficient with turning things in on time. And those EDAPs take me every bit of the whole week to get them done. So stay on top of your A game when it comes to doing your work. This course right here is going to be the course to show who's organized and who's not. It was really enlightening to me to get to this part in the program and still see that there are students doing their discussion posts late. Discussion posts are due by Wednesday. It was people that wasn't turning them in until Friday. You know, I understand life happens, but you kind of got to be on top of it. Every single point matters. If you have vacations, kudos to you, but work around how you're going to figure it out, how you're going to submit your assignments. You are responsible for this, you know. And also, I'm going to answer one of the #1 questions. Do I feel like I've learned anything? I feel like I've learned a hell of a lot. It is a self-taught program, and some people hate it, some people love it. I'm one of the ones that love it because I have a busy schedule. I work 40 hours a week. I have 3 kids and a husband, and you know, a house that I'm maintaining. So it works best for me to be able to do things on my own accord. So if that means getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do some reading before I go to work, or if that means from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'm doing some more reading. If I get up in the middle of the night and I feel energized, I could do things that way. And I'm not restricted to a class time, restricted to XYZ. So this works best for me.
Someone was detected at your front door.
I'm sorry, my doorbell rang, but so I don't know how this edit is about to look, but the moral of the story was stay on top of your EDAP assignments. Stay on top of your discussion posts. Stay on top of your response posts. Stay on top of every other little assignment that you can do for extra points. That's going to be your key. So you don't have to worry so much about your grades for the midterm or the final exam. Also, one other little thing that I have been doing, and this is going to be the last thing because I didn't want the video to be too long, but another thing that I've been doing is journaling. I've been finding that I've been having to journal throughout this process because I've been dealing with a lot of emotions, specifically in this course. And so everybody knew that I had this midterm. Everybody knew, you know, that I talked to, knew that I had this midterm. Everybody knew that I had this final exam coming up. And so oftentimes I just sit here and wonder, like, I'm not getting a lot of people asking me, Tiffany, how is school going? Or Tiffany, you know, have you learned anything? Or Tiffany, how was your final exam? So on and so forth. Guys, if you hear my nephew and my daughter in the background, I apologize in advance. It ain't nothing I can do about them two when they together. But it's just really been behooving me that this is a very big step in my career, a very big moment in my life, going back to school for my master's program. And I've been telling people this is one of the hardest, most challenging courses, and yet I don't get people asking me, like, how is it going? So I had to take a lot of time to process that. And to be honest with you, it's low-key hurtful to me. It's like you want people to share the excitement. You want people to share in the joy that you actually accomplished getting through one of the hardest courses. So if you are experiencing this, or if you know somebody that's going through the program, ask them how they're doing. Ask them how that test went. It really does mean a lot. But I want to read you something, like a little journal insert of things that I kind of came up with in this regard. I have it on my computer. Just want to share this with you all, just in case you're going through these emotions like I am. Hope this helps. The truth is, not everyone can see the fullness of who you are becoming. Your vision, your energy, your growth is bigger than their own comfort zone. And sometimes the more you rise, the more it quietly reveals where others may be stuck. And it could make them uncomfortable. But was not your fault, because I had to ask myself this, like, is this my fault? I needed to, I always dig deep. And the first thing I always do is look at myself and say, Tiffany, is it something that you did that may make somebody else feel some kind of way? But it's not your fault if somebody doesn't clap for you when you win. It's not. So I'm not going to take ownership to that. It's not your fault when people don't check in with you. And it's not your fault if they're not giving you the words of encouragement that you feel like you need. But let me tell you what's in your power. You still show up. You still stay focused. And you still stay grounded in regards to whatever your goal is. You may not be going the F&P route, because this is one of the last courses that may split up the specialties, but still show up for whatever it is that you desire to do, or whatever your end goal is to do. Pour into yourself. So I'm going to insert some videos either here or there. When I went on break, I think it was so important. I wanted to film. I think it was so important for me during my 1 week break to just pour into myself. So I'm going to insert some videos, some pictures. So I went and got a facial done. It was so relaxing. My husband took me out for dinner. Just simple things. I didn't want to do anything extravagant because I'm still trying to stay grounded, stay focused, and I just don't have time for the distractions. I get distracted very easily, and I just don't want that for myself. I'm keeping things very simple for me right now, but enjoying the little things as they come. Also, what was speaking to me, I went to church that Sunday, and what I got from the sermon was, sometimes God isolates you in the becoming phase, so you learn how to clap for yourself before the applause actually even comes. And don't worry, it will come. Hopefully it'll come when you need it the most. I just want to say also, you're not too much. You're not too emotional. You're not asking for too much. You're just going places where other people dared not to go. So that's it, guys. So I just want to share that little tidbit because this has been like really an emotional journey, and I didn't know how I was going to fit it in, but I wanted to take a moment to just start sharing some more deeper, more personal, journal entries that I've been having with you in regards as I go through the process. So that's it for now. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Until next time.